Christianity and women's rights. Has Christianity aided or impeded the advancement of women in the Western world? Right, so this is an interesting question. Again, people like, in this case, Alex O'Connor, raised the question, has Christianity been a force that has empowered women, that has aided women's political liberation, their socioeconomic upliftment? And this question is often posed in a critical light to, in a way, to position Christianity or to characterize Christianity as anti-feminist or even anti-female. Christianity as a force, sociologically, socio-historically, has always worked against the advancement of women, to keep women essentially in a domesticated state, to reduce the role of women to that of a homemaker, right, to support men and to have no real autonomy of their own. Now, the interesting part is that whenever it's raised, the Christian apologist, the preacher, the person who is speaking on behalf of Christianity, they always go on the defensive. That is, that Christianity, in fact, is very conducive for women, that is supportive of women's rights, that Christianity is there to, or has been there to help women do better in life. Now, the problem I have with this view, right, is that now looking at, for example, what St. Paul had to say, that women should not even speak in the church, that women's role is very much limited in terms of its social scope and operation. And it's funny how Christians try to defend that by saying, oh, well, no, actually, there are examples, I think in Romans 16, about Priscilla and other women who were given leadership roles, so that it was not all bad, or to showcase the history of women's rights and privileges in the Western world, which admittedly has been better. Okay, women have done a lot better in the Western world, particularly in the Anglo-American sphere. Be that as it may, the question remains, has Christianity been a necessarily conducive force for women's rights? Now, my position is that there is more to this debate. There's more to the writings of St. Paul. There's a deeper wisdom, so to speak. To put this in perspective, look at what has happened to Western culture. Look at what has happened to Western society today, particularly in the United States and in the Western world. What do you have? What has women's rights brought forth? Well, other than women entering the workforce and working and making money, but also look at the after effects, okay? Look at things like abortion, prostitution, pornography, women essentially commoditizing their sexuality, which, by the way, is a function of their autonomy, right? Women control their sexuality, either in terms of who they want to sleep with or whether they want to have the baby or not. And what happens? That freedom, it seems, has been exploited more broadly. Fundamentally, the empowerment of women in Western society has not always been to the betterment of society. It has not always been to the advancement of Christian values, has it? So this is the deeper question. Maybe St. Paul was onto something. Maybe a hierarchical society was better. Maybe women not having control over their economic freedoms was a good thing. You decide. Take care.